welcome back to the Automatic Assets Podcast. I'm Richard Boyd, the host of the show, where we talk all things business, marketing, AI, work culture, and anything else that comes up. Today, we have a very special guest who's epitomized success in both private and public organizations with a career spanning mathematics, including a visit to the Physics Olympics, a career in the Big Four, and now as his own solo entrepreneur. Grant helps business leaders maximize their potential. Grant, welcome to the show.
Cheers, Richard. Thank you very much for that warm welcome.
I was wondering how to properly introduce you. You've done so many things. I mean, coming out of university with what would you describe it as, an elite degree in mathematics?
Yeah, physics actually, pure theoretical physics.
What's for the regular people out there? What's the difference between physics and math? Do they over?
Physics and math, they do overlap. There's a lot of mathematical models used, but physics is really about understanding the real world, the observable world, why it behaves how it does.
Okay. And whereas maths would just be equations.
Just mathematical models, yeah, like equations for the sake of equations, models that then usually have applications, but sometimes it's just like mathematical exploration.
Okay. So coming out of university, you went into a career in one of the Big Four consultancy firms. Was that by choice? Were you motivated particularly to do that? Or did, like many people, you thought that's just something you should do?
It was interesting. I was loving the academic life and physics and what it was teaching me, but there was a yearning to understand business and understand, I guess, not just the academic world. At that stage, it was like, what's the real world? And so getting out into a job that I had no idea what I was going to do. I applied to a lot of the big ones, interviews with McKinsey, but got a job with Ernst & Young in their climate change and sustainability team. This was at the start of the 2000s when climate change wasn't big. Al Gore's movie, The Inconvenient Truth, wasn't even out yet. Like, I started in a team of 3. In Australia, I think that team is now like 200 people at Ernst & Young or more. So it was a really different world, but it was great to get stuck into, understanding the impacts of business from a financial, but also the sustainability, the climate change, a lot of work around triple bottom line.
So that was kind of coincidence that you ended up in.
It was. Yeah, I think they looked at my application and went, oh, we don't see physicists applying very often. And they went, oh, this area deals with chemistry and science and calculating greenhouse emissions. Maybe you could help there. And and I spent 7 years there working with some of Australia's and the world's biggest companies, the biggest emitters of greenhouse emissions. I looked at half of Australia's greenhouse emissions at one stage with some of the big miners, big energy producers.
It's coincidence that you end up in a field that in your private life you're kind of passionate about. You're a guy that kind of has had hobby farms and had pet projects away from the city. You love a ski both on the water and in the snow as well. So you're kind of a nature guy. So that was just coincidence?
I think there was an alignment. Like, sustainability is really important to me, using our resources, experience in nature, and seeing how business can thrive and deliver great things for people, deliver great things to progress society, as well as use our resources wisely and minimize the impact on the environment. Something I try and do personally in all my businesses, and it was great to be able to do that and have a voice in the boardrooms of some of the biggest companies who are wanting to do that as well.
Fantastic. So 7 years there, you could have stayed there forever.
Yeah.
Made a lot of money, had all the benefits. Why didn't you?
Yeah, and all the costs. There's plenty of. You meet many partners at Big Four. They don't have a lot of their own time, I would say.
Yeah, that's probably true. So it was never a desire of yours to get made up as a partner?
It was a desire at times, but then I got married and really realized life is way more than that.
Okay. So after 7 years, you headed out. Did you already have the job with local government lined up? Or did you take some time off to go find yourself, as they say?
No, I found a job. So my wife and I went, let's go live in the country. We'd been toying with the idea of a weekender and living between Melbourne and the country. And we went, let's just throw ourselves into it. Let's actually see if we like it. I can always move back, can always come back. Ernst & Young will have me back. I'm like, who's going to employ me? I know a lot about risk, know a lot about delivering business outcomes, sustainability. Found a job in local government as a risk manager. That's how I started. Applied for it. I was out in Daylesford in central Victoria and went, what the hell? Let's do it. So we moved there while my boss at EY was offering me a job over in New York. I went, I'll leave New York and I'll go to quiet central Victoria.
I have actually been to both Dalesford and New York. I would say I like both equally for different reasons, but I think probably you couldn't find two places further apart. So then you entered into your career in local government. How did you find the difference moving into local government from being a full-on hardcore corporate?
Yeah, great question. A couple of things. The pace was slower. The pace of change, the stakeholder involvement with councillors, with the community, with staff, just demanded a slower pace of making change and making decisions. But also particularly the coalface nature of local government and your exposure to the community. And I'll tell you exactly what they're thinking. In B2B work with Big Four, you're dealing with very respectful, very polite corporate people and employees who follow certain norms. When you get to the public and their views on local government, that all goes out the window. And so it was a real eye-opener of the importance of hearing what the residents and the community, what they want, and delivering what they want was a real difference.
Wow. Okay. And what about in terms of the value of the amount of money that you're talking about with projects, the scope of the business? How was that different?
It wasn't, in some ways, it was still significant. Like Hepburnshire Council, where I worked, had an annual turnover of about $50 million. It did significant projects. It wasn't in the billions of dollars, but there were still significant projects, 40,000 clients. We had $300 million of assets on our books. They're big numbers and significant. We also delivered 100 different businesses, which is a crazy element of it. It's not just one business. And I guess there's parallels. Working for a consultancy, you work with 100 different businesses. So you understand 100 different businesses. In local government, you can do all that in-house and get 100 different businesses, from libraries to roads to early years and everything in between.
Fantastic. Okay, so fast forward to now, and you've started Simply Now. What's Simply Now all about?
Simply Now is about creating digital systems that people love. Spent the last 10 years in local government doing that, creating digital systems that people love. They love them because they're easy, it guides people, and it actually enables them to build rewarding relationships with people. And I've only realized that really recently. For a long time, I thought, I'm building great digital systems, they achieve the outcomes we want, but the real outcomes that they achieve is rewarding relationships. So we build the systems and we also enable people, coach people to have the right conversations, to have the exact conversations that enable those relationships. That having the human conversations supported by the systems is what delivers those great outcomes.
Okay. So in 2026, here we are we're at the start of Q2 2026, and there's been many advancements just this year in technology alone for creating business systems, particularly obviously I'm speaking about AI, and you're talking about here the value of human relationships. How do you see the juxtaposition there of the advancements that we've had in AI, especially this year, against those traditional values of human relationships?
I mean, I really see them complementary. I see the power of AI, one, to teach us a lot about human relationship and human thinking, that actually understanding prompts and understanding the power of, for example, using AI to question a human. And you'll see a lot of examples. A lot of people go, it's really powerful if you get AI to ask you this. We can learn a lot about how we can ask any human mind to reveal the power. And AI works better when it gets out of the human mind information. And it's the exact same in business. Any business is going to deliver better when it gets information out of its clients, the information that it needs to find the solutions, to give it answers. And so it's actually a great mirror up to humanity to go, wow, we work exactly the same way.
So in my business, Automatic Assets, we use AI to reach out, to groom customer relationships. But we do find that where we find the bottleneck is in that area of qualification with the client, of really trying to find out what's their pain point, what's their needs. We really find that AI is really not quite there yet to, as well as a human, to really empathize with the client and get them to really open up about their business needs. We find that it does still bring the client on board, does still do its job in that regard, but the ticket value would probably be around 20-25% lower. Is that the same thing that you're finding, or you would anticipate that
Absolutely. Find exactly the same thing. And I think the essential thing there is to open up about our pain, to open up about our suffering requires trust, requires that level of feeling like the person I'm talking to is like me. And if we don't feel that, and it's pretty hard to feel that with an AI system, or if you suspect the business is using an AI system on you, that level of trust is the barrier is going to go up. So if you're a small business and doesn't yet have the authority and the demonstrated social proof that you've solved the same pain and that you understand people's pain, then just using outreach, using AI, you're right, you're going to be limited. You're only going to get 25% of the way there. They're going to go, oh yeah, I feel a little bit of pain, but I'm not going to tell you about it. I'm going to keep it inside until you have that actual, they know they're talking to a human, whether that's over chat, whether that's over video, whether that's face to face, depending what works for the person as well. I had a client recently that I was like chatting with them lots online, lots of backwards and forwards, and he was loving it. And I'm like, let's catch up. We're both in Melbourne. Like, let's go and catch up. He likes trains. Let's meet somewhere. And I was like, yep, let's meet on this date. And he's like, hang on. No, I really prefer to chat online. And so he just wants to chat. And so we've built a great relationship chatting. Never seen him, never met him face to face, never seen him on a Zoom call, but got a great relationship.
Fantastic. So do you think that with that client, that's just their general personality type? Or maybe they're a Gen Z? I read, or in Australia we say Gen Z. I read an article that 20% of Gen Z people haven't had any human contact with someone they didn't already know in the last year.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing.
So
interestingly,
do you think
this guy's a retiree.
Okay. So boomer. Sorry, all the boomers out there.
Boomer. But you're right. It is around that personality, around the habits that he's formed from experiences in the past, something in his past he's experienced, reactions, seeing people, seeing their physical reactions scares him. And he's like, hang on, what's happening there? He'll see a facial expression, read into something. And so it's just, for him, it's safer not to see that, not to be exposed. I think for Gen Z, it'd be different. It just haven't been practiced. Like it's how they've socialized. It's how they've connected. They build trust by text and by message.
Yeah, there's also, I think, maybe some other reasons. Maybe some people physically can't actually meet you. There might be some problems with their physical ability. You know, in Japan, where I lived for many years, there's a phenomenon of hikikomori. It's people that go into their room or go into their house and don't come out for years. So I actually met people who have gone through that. Usually, it's kind of a panic attack sort of thing first. But these days, the systems we have access to really give us the opportunity to not do that. Do you see that that's going to provide problems in the future if we ever lose access to our machines, or we lose the human touch, or as the generations progress, will it just become less and less valuable, and people will just be, I just want results and outcomes. I don't care about the human touch.
I think that the thing I realize about results and outcomes is most of them that we want is actually about rewarding relationships. Any outcome that we want, the reason we want money, it's so that we can use it in the relationships that we have, or to create a relationship. We think we buy something, we'll attract the right person. The reason, like with clients, we want to deliver good services is to have that relationship, but also get the money. There's a constant loop of relationships. So I think humans will want it. Guess, and it's interesting, some people have found with AI, like they're building relationship with AI, they feel like they're getting the same thing. And I think AI can deliver what humans, if you're just messaging, if you're just texting, what a human delivers in text and AI, they can look pretty similar. And for some people, if they haven't had practice in seeing people face to face, if COVID lockdowns force them to not see people face to face, they probably won't see the difference. Whereas a lot of people, visual and seeing the visual cues of someone and knowing whether they're in a good place with someone, whether they can trust them, is going to make all the difference. But as AI automates more and move towards a singularity of intelligence, of its ability to, I guess, have like what I'm talking about, those conversations that build trust, that build relationship, it will be interesting how much people do shift to, and new generations shift away from needing the face-to-face contact.
Yeah. Do you think that's actually going to happen? Do you think that AI will actually reach that point? We've seen the evolution of chatbots. AI actually goes back many years, right? 1970s, I think, is probably the first examples of machine learning. And then we have the Turing test.
Turing developed stuff. Yeah. That's right.
And so then do you think it will ever get to that point where are you talking about AI becoming self-aware, having a consciousness, or are you just talking about it being unidentifiable from a human interaction?
Probably a bit unidentifiable. Yeah. Rather than, I'm not sure. I think there is a space of it. It will have the same level of capacity as a human brain, the ability to form as many neurons and connections in the brain that it could operate pretty similar to a human brain, but it will never have a human body. It will never have a body that has 600 muscles that brain controls that form the expressions that when we're talking, your brain is deciding what to do with those 600 muscles at every moment. And how you use those depends whether you're like uplifted and smiling or not. And sure, we could build replica humans and actually maybe they'll replicate a 600 actuator system that looks like a human. When you do that, stick that with AI, then we're probably in really dangerous territory because then humans might not be able to tell the difference.
So it might be a bipedal sort of android.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting way of looking at it. So what about things like emotions and things like that? Do you think AI will ever be able to express sorry. Okay, that's really interesting. So that's in terms of the brain controlling the muscles and those kind of things. It's a physical brain, like a neuron thing, like from the how do you describe it? What's the word in biology?
I guess I would say the only way we project out in the world from our brain is we send out impulses down our nerves that control muscles. And it's the only way I speak is I'm controlling the muscles and in my chest and abdomen to push out air. And I'm contorting my vocal cords to make different sounds. So that actual expression out in the world is an entirely muscular one. I don't know exactly where I'm going with this now. What was the question again?
No, dude, I was going to try to get to like, so we talk about the physical things that AI might be able to do with a robot body or an android thing, but what about emotion? What about the emotional transfer,
Emotion.
like feelings
That's
of
a great.
guilt, shame, happiness, love, excitement,
Yeah.
regret? Do you
Yeah.
think AI will ever be able to transmit these ideas or give these kind of vibes to humans?
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. I think it could if people wanted to build it. I think if people want to build something that can sense the world like humans do, filter and delete a lot of that sensation. So apply filters and go like someone frowns at me, I pay attention to that, then apply meaning to it, and then express back out into the world their response and go, shit, I'm scared. You could build that into AI. Interestingly, AI probably doesn't want that because those are as you might have heard, limiting beliefs. People hold limiting beliefs about if I see someone frown, it means they hate me, which in reality it doesn't. It just means they frowned. But by seeing that expression and having that belief in people's minds, they go, shit, I'm scared of people frowning. Would people want to build that into AI? Probably if they wanted to trick humans into thinking the AI is human. That would be why humans would build that in. But it's actually a real limitation of humans. Like humans, it's really valuable. Like when you're a baby, I've got a 4-week-old baby now. When you're a baby and no one's around and you're a bit hungry, you go, I'm going to cry. And you get people come to you and provide you food. Like it's essential for life. It's essential to save energy, to create shortcuts in our life. These things. AI is happy to consume energy. It has no limitations on consuming energy. Like it's no one's designing it to say, don't consume energy, are they? Like we're having to build whole power stations to run AI. So it's interesting. It's actually putting limits on AI would make it more like humans.
Yeah. So then in the workplace, so you've worked both private and public practice. What are the business processes that you think it does already do well? What ones do you think it's going to be able to do well in the future? Like, have you seen it work well in any given business cases?
Yeah, I think in some ways it's almost, I mean, even go back, like I've done automation for a long time, for 20 something years, automated things. Having a good Excel spreadsheet automates things, has logic of like, do this and here's the calculation and out it comes. So any automation, AI is just a more sophisticated automation. Any automation, if you're clear on the process, clear on the input, clear on the output, clear on the logic in the middle, the technology can do it. What AI is amazing about is language logic, is like looking at patterns in language, picking up that's what large language models, I should say, in terms of AI, picking up that and going, how do I apply that? How can I research a lot of information? What's the pattern? What's going to be the best way I can do this? Trying to find, that's what things like Claude are unbelievable at the moment, and Claude Code. It's like, I want to build this. You be the expert that goes research everything we know about the languages, JavaScript, whatever, presentation layers, user interface. Here's the outcome. Right? You just build it. So where you need to work out how to do it, or you're really clear on the process and you want it to automate it, it's awesome at it. If you don't know what your outcome is, it won't help you. If you can't go, this is what I want, this is the inputs, and this is where we are now, you won't get there. But if you can define that, if you can define, here's where we are, here's where we want to go, it's amazing support for that.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've been interested in is that with agile project management, it's one of the most popular project management styles for software development for the last, I don't know, since 2002, when it was coined as a thing other than waterfall. My old boss used to say, agile is for projects where we don't know what the end product will look like. That's how he defined agile.
He probably wasn't good at agile.
Well, one day when I was working on a big ERP project, my colleague just decided to start coding the whole web app that we were trying to build in HTML, just so we had a final product to look at. And I thought, he's gone mad. And I did snitch on him, actually. I shouldn't have. I regret it. I said to the CEO, do you know, he's built the whole thing in HTML. He's like, what's he doing, wasting his time doing that? I'm like, I think he just wants to show the team what the minimum viable product is supposed to look like. Now with vibe coding, you could do that in 5 minutes. You don't need to know any coding. You could make a mock-up. You don't have to wireframe. You don't have to do any of those things. So, and then you can build more documentation into agile teams, which I think is what agile lacked, was just that lack of accountability and lack of documentation. So the project started here and now it's here. Well, how did we get there? And so for bosses asking for status reports and that kind of thing, the boss might not actually have to interact with anyone. They could just interact with the project manager AI rather than just receiving a screenshot of some dashboards. And I find that exciting. Do you think that will roll over into both the private enterprise world and the public sector as well?
Definitely. I was just talking to a collaborator about the power of using AI on that reporting, on actually being able to report on what is current state. Because what I've seen in a lot of systems, their ability to actually report what the stakeholders need, what executives need, what board members or councillors need. It's just not baked into systems. They don't spend time understanding that. Whereas if a stakeholder now comes up and goes, oh, I really need to know all outstanding ones that are over 30 days outstanding in a given area, you go to AI, interrogate the data, build a dashboard, build it interactive, that you can present that and you don't need to think about it. So you're right. That ability to create that, it's going to allow lazy product developers to meet their needs retrospectively rather than baking it in from the start. But as long as they've got the data, and it kind of comes back to, if you don't capture the data and you don't capture it in a way that enables good reporting, then you won't get there. So you got to get
that right. And then
if they get the data structure right, AI is going to be able to present it any way you want.
And do you think that laziness that you just mentioned, do you think that's necessarily a bad trait in a workmate or in an employee?
Not necessarily. Not if you get the bones right. I'm a big fan of the quick win, of if it solves one part of your process, if it makes one part so much easier, and if you develop that really well, you then get the reporting right later. And you can use AI to do it. You can go, we really want this. We're having a real problem with our clients and updating them. Okay, well, let's solve the updates, and then we'll be collecting the data that we can then report.
Yeah.
So I said lazy. It was a bit of a flippant term. I think with AI, it's not laziness. It is probably really embracing agile, delivering the biggest need first, and then just adding the extra needs on.
Yeah. So so you got your must go. So your must haves, you can get those done and you can get to a minimum viable product pretty quickly, and you can start to sell and you can turn over things a lot quicker. So For software development companies, I think it's revolutionary in that aspect, right? That they can start to sell subscriptions or have their beta model out for testing a lot earlier. As a cybersecurity guy, it does scare me because I worry how much quality control has actually been done and qualitative testing in a security sense. In the functionality sense, as a cybersecurity guy, that's not my problem. Although if it doesn't function, I probably won't have a job. But as a cybersecurity guy, I see a lot of risks. As a maths guy, yeah, how do you see the risks that AI is bringing to organizations?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because AI can deliver great cyber and can give you the best advice on doing it. But how many people are asking for it when they're developing something? When they're vibe coding, it's not built in. And AI is a bit lazy like human mind. It will deliver what you ask it for. If you're not asking it for reporting, if you're not asking it for cybersecurity, it's not going to deliver it. And so getting those bones absolutely right of the infrastructure you're on, your authentications, your access control, you're more of an expert in this than me. Getting all those bones right and making sure that's all controlled and locked down is essential. For me, I focus a lot on the front end user experience. And one of the biggest cyber risks is the human. And they leak stuff, they share information they shouldn't, they share their credentials, those sorts of things. And one of the key things that makes processes flow easier to get results quicker is giving users the absolute minimum they need. Only give them the tiny amount of information. If they've got one job with one customer, and this was in local government, we only tell them that one job, the one address, the one customer phone number. See it on that screen, they do the job and it's gone. They can't download that information. They can't share it. Just some of that cyber level through delivering a good process outcome, making it really easy and efficient and fun to use. You can also improve your cyber security. You still need your infrastructure piece underneath to be right.
Absolutely. So you've worked primarily in the Australian market. You had the chance to go to New York, but you've worked with global clients, and you know that the regulations, obviously in Europe, over data control are extremely strong, and Australia seems to be sort of following suit to catch up to that. Do you think these kind of regulations actually hold back progress, or is it with good reason to protect consumers?
I think it's always with good reason to protect consumers. There's always good at heart with it. What we've got to be careful of is not just chasing risk that may not be there and avoiding things all the time. It's absolutely essential with any risk management, and the government's just playing risk management here with consumers and trying to regulate to keep it safer. They've got to be really clear on what's the outcome that it delivers. The cybersecurity, and it's really great. I hear you talk about it's the cybersecurity. We're focusing on the security. What does that enable? It enables we've got access to the data. We can use it. We can deliver great services. Not we just want to minimize our risks. Because if you minimize your risk, you wouldn't let humans touch it.
All humans, or just ones with physics degrees? Are they all right? Or
just any. We're all fallible. Yeah.
So what would that look like? We go back to the library days of the cards in the drawer. But even that comes back to information security, I guess.
It does. That's right. Yeah. Well, someone could just steal those drawers.
They burn down in a fire and then they're gone.
That's right. Yeah, we had that one in council. We lost those records in the fire.
We didn't break any NDAs then, did we?
No. It's all public.
In the market that you're in now, there's going to be an advent of these AI coaches. That I use an AI coach for marathon running. I've found it quite exciting. I don't know if I would use an AI coach for business. I could be convinced. Have you ever thought about creating an avatar of yourself, Grant AI, for the people that you coach, the people that you mentor, just to answer basic questions or when you're not available? Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah. The thought bubbles come in, but I think it's more nuanced. Like every interaction, I think if I did that, I'd be doing them a disservice. I'd be assuming before they answer too much about where I think their problem is, because I might not know the solution. I might not be able to actually support them in the right way, where AI will try and answer. It depends. I mean, I think there's some areas that you might be able to target and do really specific. And I think, like you said, marathon running, the pattern of what you need to do and having the support and a bit of the the accountability that an AI coach might provide, as well as these are the patterns, this is what you do with your food, this is what you do with your exercise, useful. I think the diversity of what I get excited about, I'm much more excited to do that than build any AI of myself.
Yeah. I find with the marathon running, it works okay. There's guardrails. Some days I do the full exercises for 2 weeks. At the end of those 2 weeks, my body's just aching and exhausted. And then I have to take 3 or 4 days off. And to be honest, there's no accountability. I don't feel accountable to my watch. Whereas with you, if I know you're going to call me and say, with you, if I know you're going to call me on this day and say, what 6 things did you do this week? They're things we agreed. Did you do them? Talk to me about them. And they're not things that can be done. They can be made up in a short amount of time. I either have to look you in the eye and say, no, I didn't just do it. I just didn't do it this week. Or yeah, sure, I did do it. And here's the things. And so how does that mix work? Obviously, there's no perfect mentee or there's no perfect client, but how do you handle those kind of things?
I think what I like to do is go, it's all about applying the patterns that work and seeing there's so much scope, so much low hanging fruit in businesses for what are you doing large volume of and what's annoying you? Every business will have something. We do large volume. It takes up a lot of my time. They can all be automated and not the whole lot, but elements with automated, but also the pattern of conversations, the pattern of we should apply. What information do we need? Like there's a pattern that will work for those. So it's solving those, how people are feeling and thinking and reacting within that. I think that's where the human touch comes in to support people to when you go, this is what you need to do. When you're trying to nurture leads and get new clients, just ask them what's important to them, what's happening in their life, how's their HRIS going? Do their staff enjoy using it? Ask them, ask. If you get a staff member that's not doing that and just keeps wanting to tell, goes, our product's really good, our product can do this, our product can do that, and they're not making any sales. Well, it's like, you know the pattern, you've told them the pattern, there's a human element. That's where the one-on-one coaching, why do they value so much? Why do they think it's absolutely important for them to be on the front foot? Because there'll be something underlying that, some beliefs they have that if they're not doing that, they're not doing their job. Doesn't matter how many times you're telling them.
Just with that, with your current market and your current role as a coach, how do you work that sort of accountability and action angle? Like not everybody's going to do all the things you talk about doing in any given time frame with the accountability. So with an AI, I'm probably not going to feel so accountable or so embarrassed for not doing that. But if I know you're going to call me up every 3 or 4 days, hey Richard, those 3 things, how you tracking with that, or did you do that? And I have to look you in the eye and say, I just haven't done it. But how do you balance that, and how do you manage that for those people that are thinking about getting a coach, or they're wondering if it's the right thing for them? How do you manage that?
Yeah, I think what's important is if the person's bought in themselves to start with, they've got to actually want the outcome and all of them wanting it. And part of the coach's role is uncovering in the person where not all of them does, where they're not achieving it. And actually by them not achieving it, that then opens the door to, well, what's underlying that? What else, what higher game is at play inside there that's making you not take the action that you said was really important. You said it's really important. You know, like life will be better if you do this. Relationships will be better. Business will be better. Yet you're not doing it. What's going on there? And so actually it's a great opportunity. A coach's role isn't to make sure they get the outcome they want, is to support them to get what they really need. And sometimes what they really need is a pattern that's stopping them achieving the outcome. That's actually what they need coaching on, not how to achieve the outcome. So there can be a lot of power in people failing, for want of a better term, letting people fail, seeing them and then supporting them and exploring that through with them.
It's kind of like failing forward rather than failing and giving up and feeling sorry for yourself.
Absolutely. It's being proactive to go, we can solve this. I can solve this, not giving up. Yeah, you're absolutely right. If you think this is how it's always going to be, I'm never going to be someone who follows through, that's rubbish. Like read anything on brain plasticity, look at human development from a baby to a toddler to a human to an adult, like things change.
A similar thing in cybersecurity. Often clients will ask us, we'll never have an incident. Well, we wish. Pretty sure you won't, but we can't guarantee anything. You've done all the right things. If you do all the right things, the chances are very, very low. But if something does happen, you're going to be able to recover very quickly. I think that's the key point, is that when you fail professionally, you need to be able to recover quickly. You don't want to quit your job with burnout and have to go through rehabilitation and then be nervous to apply for jobs. And in your first few interviews, you know you should be a top candidate for the role, but you're sitting there and you can't articulate your successes because you just feel like a failure. It's a horrible situation. Do you think that that's a common? It's probably not something you've come across, probably not something you've been through yourself. I'm not sure, but do you think it's a common phenomenon now?
It is. It is. With some people, it's easy to fall into this has happened, this disaster's happened, and forming the same pattern of it's going to happen again, not having that confidence, not having that resilience to go, every setback is a learning, every setback enables me to have more information of that didn't work, what can work next time. And some people lean to, I'm just going to try something else. I'm just going to try something else. And I think I've been blessed and lucky to bring that approach in my life and been rewarded for that resilience and getting back up. But a lot of people haven't practiced it and haven't been rewarded for it. And so it's something that they've got to start small, and they've really got to, they talk about celebrate the little wins, like it's so essential, and really see, I didn't know how to do this. It wasn't working, but it's working now. Like that's just huge.
So why should someone consider having someone like yourself in their professional life? What are the advantages? What are some of the misconceptions? Why should I do it?
Why should you do it? So that, I guess, things can be better. Like, it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to feel exhausting. It doesn't have to feel like we're doing our work, in a business sense, we're doing our work twice. We're struggling so hard to achieve things. To move to, we're having more human conversations. I think in modern business, so many people feel like they are conversing 90% of the time with their computer. And it's mostly like, why won't you let me do this? Why won't you give me this report? Why do I need to input? Why do you need me to fill out that? Like, there's a lot of like, why is my computer saying no? We used to have a joke at my last council. The computer says no. Like, it's this feeling. I help people have the conversation with the customers, and the computer guides you to do that. Because what we need staff to do from a business sense and the decisions we need them to make happen quicker if they get the right decisions, have the conversations. And that's what I enable with people in business. And likewise as a human, and humans interacting with humans building better relationships with their loved one, with their special intimate partner or their kids. It is patterns. It's a pattern of, do you ask a question or do you say something first? Do you listen or do you watch? Do you wait? There is certain patterns to understanding humans, to coming to agreement. And that's what humanity loves. We thrive on agreement and forming agreements. And there's some pretty simple patterns. There's only a handful of things you can do. You've just got to choose what you do, how you respond, and it builds thriving relationships. So that's what I do with working with me. Give people the systems that support them, the digital systems, as well as, well, what's the pattern of the human interactions that you should apply that work? And some of it's a little bit of trialing. You try one thing, try it a few times, didn't quite work. Well, we try something else. And it's having someone in your corner to go, we'll work it out. Even if we're not quite sure now, there's only a few things we can try. Let's do them and we'll get there.
So it is very individualized. One thing that works for someone is not necessarily cookie cutter for someone else.
The patterns that work are pretty similar. The patterns that work to nurture a lead and hear their pain and play back their pain and hear their dream outcome and say, my solution will deliver that. That's a well-formed pattern. Watch any of the big guys on YouTube online that telling people how to get leads, how to get clients. That's a pattern. What's individual is what gets in the way of humans doing it. Like, what holds them up? Why do they just, like I was saying earlier, why do they keep talking about their product? Why do they want to do that? That's the stuff that the individual needs the support on, because we can understand the behaviors that work in the world out there, but what's going on in your mind, that's private. You can't see that. There's no little movie that says, except to the person, there's no movie to the rest of us of going, what's Richard thinking when I frown? What's he thinking when I said the word thinking? Like, it's amazing, like the amount of decisions that our mind makes around what we see, what we hear, what the words mean. how close the person's sitting to me. Like we're making all these judgments all the time. There'll be one or two of them that get in the way of following the patterns that are working.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Is there something to be said for the consistency as well of having a coach, of just consistently reviewing what you've done, consistently having the chats?
I think what's really important is it is consistency, because a great coach, and I've had some awesome ones. I remember one in 2018 that I had a couple of coaches, Jay, like he got to the heart of my thinking, like, and he revealed to me in vivid detail my thinking and what I was scared of and why I was behaving. I was like, holy shit. And it totally changed me. But I adjusted for that and I went, okay. And I practiced moving on that. But then there's something else. There's the next thing that's in my way, and then the next thing. And then you solve one little thing. It's like in business. You get good at one problem and you create new problems. It's exactly the same as we develop and grow as humans, create problems. The power of a coach that really hears you and plays back your patterns.
So do you think with having the services of someone like you as a personal professional coach, do you think the consistency is a big aspect of it, and also the frequency as well? I've had blue chip jobs before, and I've had performance reviews and catch ups with different people in my department, but it was often about outcomes, not so much about the good behaviors that I was developing. And I think what you're saying is the bad behaviors that I'm deleting, that I'm taking out of my game.
Yeah, just a subtle thing. There's no bad behavior. It's a behavior that's maybe not resourceful to achieve what you're trying to achieve. But you're absolutely right. The consistency of working with someone, of focusing on it, and the consistency of doing the work yourself. And a huge part of that transforms people like quicker and gets quicker outcomes is writing stuff, is them actually taking the time to write down, journaling, micro journaling. When something happens, the patterns of what just happened around me. What did I just notice? What did I pick up? What did I think? And what did I do? If you write down those three things, you can learn a huge amount about what you're struggling with. And so it's important to do that, to check in with it, to revisit it when it's still fresh, when you can really still relate to it and go, because there might be extra details. What else did I notice? What else did they say? What happened first? They're the nuances that are amazing around the patterns that we all run. And what shows up as a bad behavior is all due to what we noticed, what we thought, and then what we did. So it's unpacking that. And when you solve one item, like you get through it and you then start noticing different things, start thinking different things, start doing different things. Once you get one solved, there'll be something else. A new problem will come up. And that's where working with someone, again, is really valuable, like continuing that to show you what you're missing, to reveal that piece and support you to really understand yourself is an ongoing thing and an ongoing development.
Okay. So in terms of investing in yourself, in terms of the cost of your services and then the need payoff with, I don't know how you would quantify happiness or joy in your life, progression in your workplace, improvement in your personal relationships.
That's right. It's all of those elements. And for some people, it is absolutely at the time, like it's a progression in their workplace. It's making the next step to be seen no longer just as a middle manager, but an executive that gets people behind them and leads. That's really important. For others, it's the relationship, which is harder to quantify. But for me, like over the last 18 months, I've spent $15,000 coaching and developing and understanding more about how I show up and what I notice, what I think about it and what I do. And it's completely shifted my well-being, I would say, where I'm at. What bothered me 18 months ago, I struggled to come up with it and really look at it and go, really? Was that bothering me? And it's that shift to not being bothered by the things that you used to being really a sense of calm in what you're doing and an ease rather than a franticness of shit, how am I going to deal with this situation?
Cool. So there's no need to run off to Brazil and do some weird ayahuasca ceremony.
Well, you can definitely get biochemical changes in our body. Humans have been pretty good at that, from smoking to drinking to food to drink to different chemicals. So you can get similar outcomes, but unless you're going to live on ayahuasca the rest of your life, I say it's a bit easier to get the same outcomes by by shifting the patterns that you apply yourself. Use those 600 muscles to achieve it rather than um, a chemical result.
As a risk and sustainability expert, you would say that that's not sustainable.
Probably not sustainable. That's right. You're not going to live on it your whole life.
Fantastic. Okay, so how can people get in touch with you or find out what you're doing? I think we'll leave the details for your links and stuff in the
Yeah,
description,
definitely.
but what else?
Simplynow.com.au is the website, or they can find me on LinkedIn, Grant Schuster there. Yeah, reach out. Happy to chat all things digital systems when you're frustrated as hell with what you currently have, as well as human systems and how to have those relationships that make us thrive in relationship.
So there you go, everyone out there. Invest in yourself, get the right systems in place, have someone to bounce those ideas with, and get those high performance professional behaviors in place as well. And why? Because I guess you're worth it, Right, Grant?
Yeah, that's a great summary. Everyone is absolutely worth it already.
I thought I had imposter syndrome or Dunning-Kruger syndrome for a while. I'm not sure if you come across those.
Definitely have. Yeah, quite common. And an interesting, when people use a label like I had imposter syndromes, no one has it. You can't show me on a biomedical scan where imposter syndrome is in your brain or your body. It's not there, but it's a pattern. It's there. It's a pattern that you did. You did the pattern of noticing things, thinking about it, and doing stuff that looked and what we label as imposter syndrome. We go, yeah, he kept having great ideas, but then he wouldn't follow through. That's the behavior we see. Underneath it, what are you noticing? What are you thinking about it? Just seeing the behavior, labeling the behavior doesn't help anyone actually shift it. It actually locks you in because you identify with it. It's like, I've got imposter syndrome. I've got anxiety. I easily get burnt out. All of these labels keep us locked in.
Okay. But on the other hand, things like grit and tenacity, resilience, like you were saying before, how should we be identifying with these sort of concepts?
You're right. You raise a good point. It's all identifying with something. It's really a question of, is identifying with this serving me at the moment? And they all will serve us for a while. They'll all serve us. When you're a 2-year-old, you want to be powerful. And to be powerful and to control the world serve you as a 2-year-old and start to learn, I have authority, I have agency. That's essential. But you get to a point where you're like, I'm not really belonging. I'm not really being respectful. I'm not really fitting in. So you add new things and you're like, I'm going to be a respectful person. I'm going to be a kind person. And you add that in when you're 5, 6, 7, that serves you for a while. And then it's like, oh, okay, I'm doing this, but then I'm not achieving anything. What about me again? And so you're like, I'm an achiever. So as we develop, and I've just gone through 3 stages of development there, from the power to the belonging to the achiever. Every human moves through them. And the skill is to remember your power. You've still got power. We've all got power. We're you expressing our power here talking. Else would be those Japanese people locked away, not wanting to express their power, kind of forgetting that. We add to them rather than fully identifying with it. That's, I guess, the shift. It's like master it, identify with it, let it go. Use it when it serves. Yeah.
Powerful in itself. There we go. So if you want to utilize your power more, have more belonging in your personal relationships and in your workplace, experience that progression and that personal development into that achievement, you should definitely be in touch with Grant. Grant, thanks very much for your time. It's been enlightening and refreshing. So thank you very much for your time. Hopefully we'll see you again soon on the pod.
Would love to. Love what you do, Richard. Keep it up.
Thanks, mate.